All right. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for the very fourth edition of Strengths Talks. My name is Stone Bogart. I'm a Strengths Quest ambassador here at MVCC, and I hope the students are finding some value out of these videos. Today, to join us is Dr. Barlett to talk about Strengths Quest. So thank you, Dr. Barlett, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet me and talk about Strengths Quest.
Absolutely, glad to do it.
Yeah. So to get things off, what are your top 5 strengths?
My top 5 strengths are learner, analytical, self-assurance, command, and individualization.
Oh, those are all good ones. And what were your initial thoughts about Strengths Quest and your results?
When I first got my Strengths Quest results, I looked at those results and read them, and I said, these are all the things my husband complains about. Which was fairly accurate at the time, but I certainly didn't dispute that it described me. I just at the time hadn't wrapped my head around how those things were strengths, since a lot of them were the things that were getting me in trouble all the time.
So you and your husband both agreed with him, though, and that's a little bit of the shadow side there, getting
very much so.
Punished for your strengths in a way. Cool. So how have you developed your talents in your career?
I'd say that my talents, even before I had any idea what they were and had done Strengths Quest, have always driven my career. My number one is learner, which has kept me in an academic setting. So I went through school, got my doctorate, spent more time in classes than the average person really would ever want to. And I still do. I'm still interested in learning new things. I take online classes pretty much just for fun. Analytical is the scientist. So that's why I ended up in science. I like to analyze and take apart problems. And then self-assurance and command puts me in a good spot to be in front of a classroom.
Yeah, awesome. So those have all definitely helped your career. They helped you find the right one for sure, being here in MV. So how has Strengths Quest impacted your life?
I think for me, Strengths Quest really became a way to effectively describe who I am and why I act the way I do, and also to kind of see a little bit of that shadow side of strength. So when I say take the things my husband complains about, I'm able to now turn some of those around and say, okay, I can see why this is a problem for people, but I can also see how I can use it as a strength in my life and not get sort of bogged down by the shadow side. Self-assurance is one of those ones where you tend to speak your mind a lot and people tend to think that you have a really big ego. And so you kind of recognize, well, I'd like to speak my mind, but I see how others see it.
Okay, that's interesting. No one's been around that kind of theme of being able to see how someone else see the shadow side of your strength, but you really see it as a strength. So that's good. So what advice do you have for students about understanding and using their strengths?
I would say to students when you first get in, when I have my students take it, when you first get your strengths, to not get bent on whether or not you feel like they're right away. Strengths, I think, take a little bit of time to digest, to sort of read through, to come back to later and look at. And also to not forget about them, because at the bare minimum, if you've done Strengths Quest, you have the answers for a job interview that you were never expecting or don't remember. When they ask about strengths and weaknesses, you've got sitting, in a piece of paper, 5 things that you can talk about, usually on both sides.
Yeah, everybody can kind of say what one of their weaknesses is, and then they really sell it like a strength. But when you ask somebody what's one of your strengths, they don't know how to answer it.
Right, it's always a difficult question.
Yeah, awesome. So this can definitely help with that. So what does it mean for us to be a strength-based college?
I think for us to be a strengths-based college, it means we all have this same language about strengths that we can use to talk to each other. So I can sit down with any student, whether they've taken my college seminar class or any other class, and we can say, well, let's talk about what things you're good at and what things are your strengths and how we can use those to do better in my science class, which is usually the problem because people don't do well in science classes as a sort of rule of thumb.
Awesome. So last question here is, what would you like to see as the future of Strengths Quest at MV?
I think the future of Strengths Quest here is sort of a culture of looking at the positive side of what we do first, of looking for the strengths in each other and finding ways to say, well, these are the things that I'm good at, these are the things that you're good at, how can we put those together to then do better stuff, to have better success, ask our students to do better jobs for us to do better for them, and so all of us thinking at the same time, where are our strengths and how can we put them to use?
That's great. Well, thank you, Dr. Barlett, for taking the time to talk to me about this.
All right.
Appreciate it. And that'll wrap it up here. So thank you all for joining, and have a good day.